Much like the audio cassettes, VHS tapes were a little box of magnetic hocus pocus, though superior of course, since it had both sound and images. You could also record over VHS tapes multiple times. You could copy them, so there was a lot of piracy going on, but mostly homegrown level. We'd trade copies of Rambo or Police Academy with our friends. The longer tapes could fit 2, sometimes even 3 movies, since the max recording time was 300 minutes. And then, you'd slap a sticker on the front of the tape and scribble the title on it. You could do it on a typewriter too, if you were feeling fancy. Still, every re-recording decreased the quality so much so that the tape became unwatchable, with line crawling across the screen and the sound all out of sync. By the late 80s, there were only a few dozen video rental joints in Poland, and just 4% of people owned a VCR. But by around 1994, half the household had a player, and there was a rental store around every third corner. Oh yes, in the golden age of VHS, we had 4 rental shops in my neighborhood: Video Relax, Monte Carlo, Magda's, and Poldi. I was a member at each, and each one was completely different. Video Relax was set up in an extension of an apartment block. The selection wasn't great, and the owner mostly relied on pirated recordings from satellite TV that he shamelessly displayed in the window. Since customers preferred the better quality of licensed tapes, that rental was the first to go under. Monte Carlo was a different story. A real video parlor with hundreds of films, movie posters, and even a reservation system, because with some titles you had to go on a waiting list, on an actual computer. At Magda's, there were rotating shelves, a fair assortment of horrors, and an erotica section behind the burgundy curtain. Even so, Poldi was my favorite. A liquor and grocery store combined with a rental shop, open late into the night. When I ran out of pocket money during the tough months, the friendly owner would let me rent on credit. In better times, we'd grab a bag of chips to go with our movies. My first late-night marathons with my elementary school pals started here. We'd pick a film, 4 in total, and then draw lots to decide the order. Choosing alone could take forever because we had to check out dozens of covers, read the descriptions, and ask the owner about the latest arrivals. We mostly went for horrors. The bloodier the better. I can still hear the sound of VHS tape being swallowed by the mechanical guts of a black VCR. Hitachi, Sanyo, Akai, Grundig, Samsung, Panasonic, JVC, Toshiba. Those were the names of the VCRs, and to me, they sound better than poetry. Once the VCR had eaten the cassette, there was the distinctive hum, clunk, the whirl of the tape being wound. Each of these sounds, combined with the buzz of the old CRT television, made the symphony of a VHS screening. Then, all that was left to do was press our favorite play button, and we'd dive into cheap horror flicks, big-budget action movies, space wars, softcore erotica, and almost entirely American magical world of the small screen hooked up to the VCR. After the movie, you had to rewind the tape. I remember that sound well, too, because if you returned a tape unrewound, you'd get some bollocking. But it wasn't even about that. It was about a kind of unwritten code. You returned the tape, not just rewound, but on time. Otherwise, you'd get late fees. Everything changed in 1997 when Beverly Hills Video, a big rental chain, arrived. A rental store straight out of the US. Thousands of tapes, some with multiple copies, snacks, seizable stuff, branded cases. But there weren't as many of those seedy horror movies anymore. And some of their business practices weren't exactly fair. They would keep prices low for a while, just to wipe out the smaller shops. Poldi and Monte Carlo didn't stand the competition. Magda's held out longest until DVDs came along. The owner must have decided there was no point in switching to the new format, and he gave up. Beverly Hills ruled uncontested for the next decade and a half until it vanished itself in 2013. The last VHS tape was released in Poland in 2006. The last VCR was made in 2016. There are only a handful of rental stores left in Poland. But we remember. VHS will live in our hearts forever. When you've seen the covers of the 90s movie hits, let's move on to the display cases with toys and figurines. And give your keypad a high five. Yeah, that was lame, I admit. Yeah, we can cut it too, right? Okay.